Today, I'm going to be showing you guys how to make this super realistic text animation within Premiere Pro. So without further ado, let's get right into it. We're just going to go down to this little paper icon and click on color matte, and we're just going to click OK and OK. We're just going to drag that color matte right onto our timeline and extend it out to about 1 minute. Next, we're going to create some text. So I'm going to go down to this little text icon, click it. You guys can make this word kind of whatever you want. I'm just going to use the word realistic, and then I'm just going to quickly change the text. Next up, we're just going to grab this little circle here and hold Control, and we're going to drag it right into the middle of the text layer. You should see it snap on, and then we're just going to make it a little bit bigger. So I'd say right about here to fill up the entire space. While we're at it, I'm just going to extend this text layer to the 1 minute space as well. And then I'm also going to right click in this dead space, go to add tracks, and we're just going to add an additional 20 just to be safe. Now this next step might be a little repetitive depending on how many letters you have in your word, but we're going to duplicate this text layer. So hold Alt and drag up. You can see we've created a duplicate layer. We're going to click on this layer, and then we're going to highlight all of the other letters except for the beginning one. And then we're going to go into the effects control panel, and we're going to click off the fill. So if we hide this bottom text layer, you can see only the R is showing. I'm just going to duplicate that top layer. We're going to hold Alt and drag up. We're going to click on that layer. We're going to select this R. We're going to go to the effects control panel, change the fill to off, and then we're going to go to the next letter, which is the E, and we're going to turn that fill back on. So if we hide both of those text layers underneath, you can see it's just the E appearing. And then I'm just going to do that for the rest of the letters, and then we should have individual layers for each letter. All right, and then we're just going to delete the very first text layer. When we delete it, we should see nothing change with the text because we've created duplicates of them. And then now it's time for the actual animation. So I'm just going to select the very first text layer. We're going to go up to the effects panel and type in transform. I'm just going to double click on that transform, and then we're going to go to the effects control panel. The very first thing I'm going to do to make this animation silky smooth is check off this check mark and bring this shutter angle to 360. And then I'm just going to drag this blue tracer to around the 4-second mark, and then we're going to create a keyframe for the scale. We're going to go 1 second backwards to the 3-second mark, and then we're going to change the scale to 95. We're going to go 1 frame to the left, so you can just use your arrow keys, just go 1 frame to the left, and then we're just going to click this little dot right here to add another keyframe. We're going to go another second back to the 2-second point, and now we're going to change this scale to 110. We're going to do the same. We're going to go 1 keyframe back, and then we're just going to create another keyframe with this little dot. And then we can finally just drag our blue trace to the very beginning of the animation and just change the scale to 0. Now we're going to have to easy ease these keyframes. So we're just going to select all of them. We're going to right click, go to ease in, and we're going to right click once again and go to ease out. So the very first thing I'm going to do is just adjust the keyframes. So I'm just going to zoom in to where we created those 2 keyframes right beside each other. So I'm just going to drag them together as close as possible. I'm going to scroll down until I find the other one, and I'm going to drag that one as close as possible. Now we can actually work on the smoothing part. And then we're just going to drag these in a little bit. Make sure you don't go up and down with this because it really messes up the animation. Just press Control Z if you mess up. Just make sure it's in a very straight line. So it should look like a little mountain. And then we're going to do this for the other 2 kind of animations here. We're just going to drag them a little bit closer together to create a nice mountain. Then we're going to do it for the final one. If we play that back, you can see it doesn't look very realistic. So we're just going to have to adjust these keyframes a bit. So it seems like it's taking way too long for this to come in. So I'm just going to select all of these keyframes on the right. I'm just going to drag them in to about 1 second and 30 milliseconds. And then we're going to grab the last 2 here, drag them in a bit more. And then if we play that back, you can kind of see we have a very smooth animation. Now we're just going to have to apply this effect to all of the other letters. So that's actually pretty simple. We're just going to select the transform layer, press Control C, and then we're going to just select all of the other text layers we haven't touched, and we're just going to press Control V. And then once we've applied that transform layer to all of the other letters, I'm going to zoom in a lot and drag my blue tracer to the beginning of the animation. And then we're going to go 2 keyframes over with our arrow keys. We're going to drag the second to bottom letter layer 2 keyframes over. We're going to go 2 keyframes over once again, drag the one on top 2 over, and then we're just going to create this nice little arc with all of our letters. And then if we play that back, you can see we have a really silky smooth text animation. And we can also go a step further with this animation and add some 3D to it. So I'm just going to select the very first text layer. We're going to go up to the effects panel and type in 3D. It should be basic 3D. We're just going to double click on that. We're going to go to the effects control panel, and then we're going to zoom in, and then we're going to see where the second keyframe is on the transform layer. So you see the first one's right here and the second one is right here. And we're just going to try to line our blue tracer up just kind of in the middle of that second keyframe. We're going to go to our basic 3D. We're going to create a keyframe for the tilt. I'm just going to drag my blue tracer to right about here, just after the first keyframe on the transform layer. And then I'm going to type in 83 on our tilt. I'm going to select both of these keyframes on the basic 3D. We're going to right click, ease in, right click, ease out. We're going to open this file up and the tilt, and then we're just going to scroll in a bit, and then we're just going to make that little mountain like we did with the transform layer, just dragging both of these a little bit closer in so it kind of creates that mountain effect. Once we have that effect in place, I'm just going to select the basic 3D, Control C, select all the text layers we haven't done this to yet, and just press Control V. And just like that, you've created a realistic text animation within Premiere Pro. Now, if you guys are interested in creating silky smooth animations for objects, click the video on the right. That's everything from me, guys. Peace out.